Just a quick recap. We went through it and we decided that there's supposed to be three arrays, one main one for all of the subjects. Then there's supposed to be one for class tests and one for assignments, each inside the subject array. Yes, somebody does have a question. You may talk to me through your microphone. And Nyoni, is that a question? Are you done with your question? I'm hoping you're trying to figure out how the mic works. Oh, you're looking for earphones to talk through or something, and it's not just a false alarm. All right, I'm giving you another like 10 seconds. All right, that's probably a false alarm. I'm gonna lower your hand for you. All right, so now we know what we're supposed to have in the actual practical itself, but also we know that there's supposed to be some calculations that happen. For the practical assignment, we need to go 10 over 75. So basically, we're making the practical assignments count 10 out of 75 of the 75%, right? Essentially, is it if I declare the assessments as a fixed size array, is it okay? Are you talking about the formal assessments or like assign like yeah? I'm assuming you're talking about the formal assessments. Yes, if you declare those as a fixed size array, that's almost 100% fine because you're not really making any errors and you're allowing for extensibility. You know that it definitely has two, so you can make a fixed size array. They shouldn't mark you down for that. Unless the marker gave a specific reason for marking you down, that should have been 100% okay. All right, so let's just think about this carefully. And we've got a 65 over 75 there, right? So that's assessment 2 mark by the 65 over 75. And okay, cool. So what we're saying is essentially together assignment 2 and assignment 1 count 75 marks, right? So that's together. But the proportion that they're weighted in is that this one counts 10 out of those 75 and this one here counts 65 out of those 75, right? So it's just dealing with proportions there in the best manner that we can. It's not really a big deal. Should be pretty easy, and then you just add them together, obviously, to get the whole 75. Then you calculate the semester mark as follows, right? So you calculate the marks for the calculate the average of the assignment marks of all the practical assignments. Then you calculate the average class tests mark for all of the, well, this is supposed to be class test marks. Add the two values together and divide by 2. The result should look something like a plus b over 2. And the formula for the semester mark is this little monstrosity at the bottom here, right? So we will deal with this at some stage. So let's get into this, right? So let's just look at the mark sheet to get an idea of what we're supposed to be doing. We clearly know that there's supposed to be some class that we use. It needs to be used for calculations. It needs to be well, obviously correct, and you need to do a UML class design diagram. Now I'm hoping that my last week's one kind of gave you a better idea of how the UML diagrams worked, or you probably asked your lecturers in X, Y, and Z, right, about it. So that's essentially what I was thinking about. Obviously, look and feel has been the same thing, and then programming style. Talking about commenting code, at least one comment per function, please. I know a lot of you are still not doing this. At least one comment per function, and at least like if you have more than one for loop in a section, in a single function or in a single button or something, please give me some code. Please give me some comments there to just kind of tell me what each for loop does, just to make everybody's life easier, so that you know so that we know you know what you're talking about, and that we know what you're talking about. Okay, I'm hoping that makes sense. So readability of code. obviously self-documenting code, so good variable names, etc., good function names, stuff like that. All right, so let's get started. Let's try and make a practical. I'm going to do a design because I think it's going to be a waste of our time right now. Because I've marked these, so I have experience with this kind of thing, right? It's different if you've never done a project like this before. If you have no project like this, then obviously you're supposed to do a design first to make up for people who, or well, to make up for the lack of experience you have, essentially, right? You don't wanna sit there and try and be going trial and error through your debugging and stuff like that, right? So for the Saturday touch, then touch marks. There we go. Let's do that. All right, let's try and get this done quickly. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, right? It should be an easy process. Double click. Let's go add a class quickly. Do any of you have problems with the way I read the practical? Do any of you guys have any questions? I'm more than happy to deal with those. Please raise a hand and talk to me in your mic, or just type it out. I don't mind. Either one. All right. Subject.v. One thing that you guys need to remember is always do your option statements in every class, just in case. The mouth. This is supposed to be on here. The one that's off is info. And let's just copy and paste this in a form also, just so everybody knows what's cracking. Remember to put your details at the top of each form. That's really important, just for like future reference. Now let's deal with some global state variables. Global variables, right? So I am just going to look at this practical again and see what we've got going here so that I can decide what marks to put in there. I mean, what stuff goes in there. All right. So we have got for each subject you have to record the following information. So there's something called assignment marks. There's something called practical marks. So we're gonna say private assignment marks, capital as double. Why double, right? That's that. I saw somebody who had it as integer, right? And the reason we use double is because what if I got a half a mark, right? Double is really important for that. Unlike with money, where you can say I'm modeling it as an integer set of cents, right? This is definitely going to be double because you can get half a mark, and you're working with percentages, right? So that's really important. So we got assignments. Let's do class tests. Marks as double. What else do we need? We've got the following information. So there's a name. Then we've got each subject will have the same number of classes and same. Each subject also has 2 formal assessments. So with the array method, that's we can do a fixed size array for assessment 1 and assessment 2. Now I'm just gonna do a single assessment 1 and assessment 2 because I think it's gonna be easier for explaining, but I don't think there's a problem if you use the fixed size array. You still have 2 variables essentially, right? And that Alright, that's that. Now we need to do the getters and setters for all of these things quickly. So let's just do a public property. So, yeah, it's just keep the same name. Right. And we're gonna put an I as integer, right? And it's gonna return assignment mark I, the value as double. I'm coming for this question. I know that there was. So why is assignment marks and class tests as array? Underscores are not important. If underscores are what you guys are doing in class, please use underscores. I am just showing you how to code the solution. I'm not showing you exactly how you should code it. With regards to the assignment marks and class tests marks, right? Why are those arrays, right? So I'm just gonna quickly pull this back up here, right? Over here, it says for each subject you will need to record the following information, right? And there is some assignment marks and there is class test marks. So this S here tells me that there's more than one, but we don't know how many more, right? We know that that also has an S, so we don't know how many more. So that's why I'm making those dynamic arrays. I'm hoping that answered your question just a little bit. I'm hoping so. All right, thanks. Okay, great. Glad that helped. All right, so here we're getting value is double, so we're just gonna set it. I equals value, and we'll need a similar kind of thing for class test mark. That's going to be important. That class tests. Test, and it will test here. All right. Should be that, and here should be class test mark also. Alright, cool. There's class test marks done. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a comment here saying etc. for each element in the array, right? Of assignments, right? And then I'm gonna copy that because I'm lazy. Okay to be lazy. It is okay. And we'll have class test marks. But you should only copy and paste if you know what you're doing and you know how to find the errors that you might create, right? So we've got the first two done, then we need one for name. Right, so let's get a setter for name of the subject. Right, so we're going to get public t name string. Why did it not do the thing? What am I missing? It's probably name. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's think about this. Let's just think about this. Right. It should just be a normal property like this. So I could just copy and paste that stuff. It'll be fine. Right. Why is this giving me an error? Name is already created. Okay, alright, cool. Let's just make this cancel again. Because they're being faulty. What's the issue now? Oh, this is probably what the issue is. No. still not the problem. Anybody have any ideas what my issue might be with name here? Could be your underscore thing. So let's just put an underscore here. And it's gone. Would you look at that? So maybe that's why you guys do that. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know. What does that make it? Different class, different from class variable. Yeah, so that's essentially what I'm doing. So I'm stopping overshadowing here. You learn. I'm hoping you learn what overshadowing is soon. Then I can start using cool words like overshadowing. Makes it more fun, I guess. Let's get rid of all of these red lines. I hate red lines. These red lines are so ugly, man. Yeah, this. Why is that? Why am I doing that? This is a string. Let's return name. Return underscore name. Do a set underscore name. Yeah. Value. Right, and up here we'll have this as string. Right, that's the one name. That's one name done. Value as string. Yeah, there we go. Got that one. All right, so that's name done. Now we'll talk about assignment. Name is not an array, so I think you should remove the brackets. An empty parameter list is just the same as having no brackets there. Right, so that this specifies a parameter list. It's actually a parameter list. It specifies what arguments you can send, right? And essentially, if you don't have parameters, you can't send an argument. So it's the same as having no brackets there. This doesn't, in the property, that doesn't mean array. That just means this function doesn't take anything in except for value as string here. All right, so that's just an interesting thing that you guys should realize. Let's do one for. Let's deal with one for the different things. The two assessments, right? No problem, as long as it answers your question. For the two assessments, so let's modify this one to get to for an assessment so that we cool. For assessment one, assessment one. Assessment one was a double, if I remember right. Oh, what is this? No, leave me alone, Andre. We're returning. Let's go assessment one. Why does it keep happening? Let's double, and we want assessment two, assessment one here. Be equal to the value. Right. This is kind of a long process just to get a class working. You might agree, you might disagree, but why double? Because marks can be, you can get half a mark, right? You don't know how different subjects work. That is why you can get a half a mark in your exam. You can get 37.5% in your exam. That it's not a great mark to have. You shouldn't aim for that, but you could probably get like 98.1. That's a good mark to aim for. And that's still a decimal, right? So you still need to cater for that. And I'm just going to save. This covers assessment one, assessment two name, and all of those. And the next thing we need is a constructor, right? Constructors are important to us. And because we need to redeem our arrays, right? So what is our constructor gonna have? So it's gonna be public new, right? Is that how we do a constructor? Is that really how we do a constructor? Anybody wanna take a stab at that? Public sub new. All right. Nice. Public sub new. And what I want here is I'm going to do it slightly different to how most of the people would be marking it. Simply because I believe this is a nice way of doing things and you guys know how to do it. You're welcome to do it the other way where you have a property that literally redeems things. That's perfectly fine by me, but as long as you remember to read them, because you will get a null exception if you don't read them your arrays before you try and use them, right? So essentially what I want here is I want num class tests, right? And tests as integer and n assignments as integer, and I want name as string. We'll just call this subname because it's just stuff overshadowing. Alright, that's our new, and what we're going to do here is we're going to redim our arrays. Oh yeah, these start with underscores now. One, and it's going to be n assignments. Oh no, you can't do that. That's terrible. What am I doing actually? That's assessment. That was. There you go. And so what n tests? Alright, that's the two arrays, and then we're gonna set name equal to subname. Right. Yeah, that's done. All good. I did formal assessments. Was I going to include its parameter? It's no. So if you have a formal assessment, why would you know? You know how many there are, right? So if you're making a fixed size array, why would you pass the number that's going through there? But if you're going to include the actual two assessment marks in the constructor, I guess that works, but it just depends how you learn your information and how you create your classes, right? That's a problem. Just give me 1 second quick. I just wanna quickly stop this from going off. All right, so the constructor isn't for the arrays. I'm asking because I see you have the name inside it. Not sure what you're really meaning by that. Not 100% sure, but in line 64, why did you include the third argument subname? Oh, it's just for like, because when I create a subject, I kind of want to know its name, right? Makes no sense making an array of arrays when I don't know its name. What about the array for subjects? Why would I put that in my class though, right? So this is a very good question. This is a very good question, and here's how I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to tackle it with logic. So if I'm trying to model a subject, right? When I make a record structure about that subject, I know it has to have assessment 1, it has to have assessment 2, just have my two arrays for the class tests and for the assignments, right? So in the record structure, I know that those things have to be there, and the name, obviously, right? What did I say name already? Oh, well, you hear what I'm saying. So these variables all are going to be part of the record structure, right? If I were to make this a record structure, that's how I'd model subjects, right? But the thing is, when I make it a class, what I'm doing is I'm helping people access this properly. I'm helping people deal with this nicely. And I'm doing some calculations based on these variables that should be done by me so that they don't break this class, right? Because this class is essentially going to be a tool used by other programmers also. That's how you should program your classes. It's not just for you. So when you say the array for the subjects, right? Why would I have an array of subjects when I'm trying to model one subject? Right? That's like subjectception, right? That's not a cool thing to do. You want to put your array of subjects in your form class simply because it's going to be easier. That's what I did wrong there. And that was the first time I ever saw option statements in red. So that gave me a bit of a shock. But yeah, so essentially what you're doing is you're saying, I know that a student has multiple subjects, right? A subject doesn't have multiple subjects. Okay, that's why you don't put that in here. And it's a really good question, and it's a lot of people really struggle with that kind of differentiation. But just remember that a subject doesn't have other subjects, right? That's why we named this subject. This is modeling a subject. So think of it as like trying to make a record structure about the subject, but trying to make it so that we have all of the details and the calculations that we can do on the subject all in one little place, and it's easy to use, right? So I hope that answers your question. Indra, with the guy above, right? So constructor isn't for the arrays. Please, can you like maybe unmute your mic? Oh, you think you're missing out? What is the purpose of a constructor? All right, so in the last class I had somebody ask me what's the difference between initialization and instantiation, right? So initialization is setting us an initial value, and instantiation is creating a copy, right? So when you have a constructor, what you're doing is you're making memory. The new function in Visual Studio, right? It allocates a group of memory and gives it the name of the variable. So when you say new string, you're making enough memory for a string, and you're giving it the name, say name, for example, right? Or string one. That's now you creating a. It's like so this end tests, right, as integer. Essentially, if I said as new integer, it would probably still work here. It's probably just a terrible way of coding, but ideally what you're saying there is you're saying make a block of memory in the computer and call it end tests, and then access it whenever somebody uses the word end tests in their code. All right. So but the computer does this automatically for things like integers, right? But this is a different type. You're creating your own type here. It's called a subject. So you need to tell the computer how much memory to save for your thing. You need to tell it how big the arrays inside it are going to be. You need to tell it how many values there's going to be in here, especially the arrays, because dynamic arrays, there's no space allocated to them until we read them, right? You guys know that one from first semester. So essentially, what your constructor is actually doing is it is taking the block of memory that you've created here with enough space for the arrays, and it's giving it the name of whatever subject name you give this, essentially, right? That's the variable name that you give this. Now when you make an array, it's just going to be a block, right? So we need to make a block of these blocks. I'm hoping that kind of helps you understand. If not, please raise your hand again so we can discuss this. It's a really good question also. Why do we need constructor? Oh, you don't understand. All right, cool. That's perfect then. I'm glad you understood that. All right, so now we've got a constructor. Now we get to the real nitty-gritty stuff, right? The real nitty-gritty stuff. So what I want to do is I want to make a helper function for myself.
Because I saw that you need two averages there. You need the average of class tests and you need the average of assignments, right? So I know that we're going to be calculating averages quite often, twice essentially. So if I can create a function that calculates the average quite quickly for me, I'll be a very happy person, right? So let's make an average calculator function. It'll work for any array, right? So average calculator that is independent of array, right? So we're going to call it private sub average. Oh no, private function. That's what we want there. Get average. Right. And what do we need to send it? Some array as a double or some double array, right? So we're going to call it my array as double, right? That should be fine. And we're gonna say this returns a double. Please explain a little bit how it works. All right, so what a helper function is, it is essentially a function that nothing but this class will use, right? In my form, I will never call get average, right? Because the average is going to be calculated when I call get PCM or when I call get semester mark or when I call get comment, right? So in those functions, we will be getting the average of the practical assignments, and we will be getting the average of the I think it's tests. Yeah. So because we know that those averages need to be calculated in the functions that we will be calling, I'm making a helper function to make my life easier because I don't like making lots of for loops. So I'm gonna make one for loop that does my average for me for all of those calculations for the PCM, for the semester mark, and for the commenting all at one nice little time, right? Because that's how I like coding and I like being lazy. I'm hoping that that makes sense to you. That's the real reason behind helper functions. It's to make your life easier. And the reason you make them private is because nobody needs to really know how you calculate stuff. Right? Your class should essentially be a black box that when I call it in my program, I can just go subject.get PCM and it works for me. I don't need to know how that it does a function. It has a function inside that does an average and whatever the case might be, right? I don't need to know any of that. That's not for me. It's not important to me. So let's get this average, right? So first thing we'll need is a total. Basically, the helper method is used to avoid repetition of code. Yes, that is exactly what a helper method is used for. But it's also it's the reason it's definitely classified as a helper function is because it's not called outside of this class. So it's definitely with a private access modifier. So yeah, that's important. Dealing with doubles. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. Right, so I'm gonna go for integer. Wait. One, two, nine, there. Is there 11 here? Okay, so my array doesn't come with a dot length. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to go well then then right, and just to make it a bit easier for ourselves, we're gonna because I was in the middle of typing that to my length x. Wait, that's not x. That's next. All right, cool. So I'm gonna say so equals. Yeah, this needs to be zeroed. Right. plus equals to my r, and we put in here, we put in x. Alright, that should work. What have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? Double cannot be indexed because there's no default property. My r. What is going on here? It has no default property. That's an interesting one. Definitely spelled that right. Yes, please speak to me. What's up? Yes, you can unmute your mic and speak to me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Where to put -1?
Oh, where to put -1? What do you mean? You are talking to me still, right?
For resizing array.
Yes, for the resizing of the array in here, yeah. Yeah, that solved the problem. Please continue. Well, what do you mean by where do I put -1? I don't understand what you mean. All right, I think it's gone. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. All right, so now I'm gonna return total divided by my array length. No, my spelling mistake. That's not a proper way to spell it. But there we go. I think that is -1 for the grid. I think he's speaking about array length -1. Okay, let's explore this, right? So if we say that there are 6 values in the array, right? That means the first one goes to 0, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So at 6 we only hit 5. Okay, if you're counting with me, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that's 6 values including 0. So essentially for 6 we'll still need to go to myArray.length if we're going from 1. So essentially this should be well, yeah, okay, well, let's do it -1 for now, and if we get a bug we'll deal with it. Let's do that. Let's do it like that. I don't think this is right though, so well, it could be, should be, I don't know, we'll see. I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm still half asleep. It's really early on a Saturday for this. Yeah, so now we've got something that gets us averages, which is really cool. Now we can do something called get PCM. PCM, right? So we're gonna make a public function. Get PCM, and it's gonna be as double, right? In here, what do we need to do? Let's open up the practical again, just so we know what. Calculating the practical component mark as follows: get the average of assignment marks. All right, so let's average as marks as double. Double. All right, then we're gonna get it, so it's gonna be average, and I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna send it the first array, which is gonna be assignment marks, and we're gonna send it the length, which is gonna be n assignments. I don't store assignments, so how are we gonna do this? Let's try this. Let's try this one more time. I think I understand what the problem was the first time. There we go. That works. That's nicer. Alright, so that should give us the average assignment marks. Look how quick that was. Alright, multiply your assignment marks by, multiply this average by 10 over 75. So we're gonna say average equals to average times 10 divided by 75. I am going to do that. Yeah, there we go. The parentheses there is just so that Visual Studio calculates this first and knows that it's multiplying a decimal in there. All right, then we've got multiply assessment 2 by 65. Okay, so we should actually make them A and them A, B as double. Should just be A. That's exactly what the practical ones, and B is assignment marks 1. We'll use the inside version. Marks 2 by 65. 65 over 75, right? Right, I'm just gonna see the questions. That's where I think the -1 should go in assignments length -1. We are though, right? Because we get that integer in here and then we say -1 here. So we'll see what happens from there because we are essentially minusing the 1 here. It should also be here. It should also probably be here. If I have 5 subjects going from 1 to 5, that's actually 6 in an array. All right, fair enough. Well, -1 works here. Hopefully that works also. We'll see. So now we've got A and B, and let's just return A plus B, right? If I remember, we'll just return A plus B, and that is PCM done. Let's look at what semester test mark works by. Calculate the average assignment mark for all practical assignments. Calculate the average of class test marks. B. Add the two values together, divided by 2 as follows. Alright, so we need A, B, and C as things for this next function. Let's get the semester mark. And I'm going to make this public also. Function get sem mark right as double. Right, what we're going to do here is we're going to dim A, B, and C, A, B, and C as double. Then we're going to return yeah, so it's C times 0, 1 plus assessment 1 times 0.065 plus, that's assignment 2, sorry. This is assignment 1 times 0.25. Assessment 1 times 0.25 2, 5, right? Yeah, so 25 plus 65 gives us, yeah, so that works. This gives us 100 eventually. This is just the first thing that's wrong here. So as we see, right, that works out. Now we need to calculate C. First, A is equal to get average, and we're going to send it to the average of all of the practical assignments. So it's going to be assignment marks, right, comma, assignment marks dot length. B is going to be the same thing, but with the class tests. So it's going to be class marks. Go. Oh, I hate that. Right, then C was just equal to A plus B divided by 2. Right, and that's done. So that's get semester mark. For the question, what's assessment 1 and 2 called? It's just called assessment 1 and 2. Just underscore assessment 2 underscore assessment 1. There we go. All right, so that should get us the semester mark. Now, if you want to really be think about this, you will find an error like about this -1. You should be able to find an error when you make tests, test data. So, and you actually test your program. You should make each of the arrays a different number. So, for example, it should be 2 subjects, 3 class tests, and 4 practicals, and you'll definitely find out which one goes out of bounds or whatever the case might be, or which one doesn't total all of them together, right? So that's an easy way to fix this, because I don't think we're going to have time to fix that. I still have to actually do the class itself, and the next thing we have to do is is to decide whether somebody has passed, right? So well, in the subject, each person can pass each subject, right? So we can make a quick thing here. We can make a quick function here that'll help us out. So get let's get a comment, right? So let's get a comment, right? We'll call it public function get comments as string, right? And what we know is if PCM is less than 50 or the semester mark is less than 40, the person will not be granted access, right? So we can say if, so let's just get this going, get the semester mark, right? So semester mark at PCM, let's do that. PCM STM double PCM equals to get PCM STM equals get sem. Oh, that's not stack, it's supposed to be STM. Now we've got those two things, and now we can do our if statement. If PCM is less, oh my god, what's going on? PCM is less than, what is it? PCM is less than 50, or STM is less than 40, right? If either of those happens, then we know it's a fail. Yeah, we don't need that in this language. Then it's the comment is fail, so we're just going to return denied, right? And instead of having an end if here, we will put in an else, right? And we'll say return right? And that gives us a comment also. So everything, all of the actual heavy lifting, as you can see, is done in the class, right? Entirely done in the class. We've got get comment, we've got get sem mark, we've got get PCM, we've got get average. Everything that really needs to be calculated is done in the class. The only thing you're really doing in the form is getting the input and displaying the input, displaying the output, right? So does anybody not understand what I've done so far? What is it that you so I see somebody says yes there. Does that mean yes you do understand or yes you don't? Oh, from line 73. All right, so line 73 is the get average function, right? So could you maybe put on your microphone and tell me what it is you don't understand about it so that I can actually target your
Okay, so can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the function get average. So with the array I understand, with the first parameter. With the second parameter, I don't know why you did that argument, my array length.
All right. Why do you see a problem with that?
Like I don't understand it why you use it. Like I see like you use it, but I don't know why. Like
all right. So essentially, I just needed something to limit the loop that I go through because I need to get a total, right?
okay.
And it's an average, so the total needs to be divided by something.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. So if you just used this array dot length instead of having two parameters, that would have been more than fine. But again, it just relies on what you're doing. So if you know that this x thing this x needs to go from 1 until the length of this array here, and you use this array's length instead of having a separate variable here, then that's fine. That's more than we're not going to mark you down for that. That's just you saving space. I just like it like this because I don't know, it makes it neater to read.
Okay.
Instead of so that's essentially why I've done that.
Okay.
Hopefully that clears that up.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. Anybody else actually having a bit of a problem understanding this? Please let me know, because this is the main part of the practical. I mean, you guys have been working with grids and getting input for the longest of time now. It's really not that big of a deal. The other stuff. This is the real problem. So if there's anything you don't understand, please ask me so that I can address it. Regarding this specifically, like the form and stuff like that, you guys should be able to handle getting input and stuff like. I mean, you've been doing it since like first semester now. This is like practical 4 in this week. So you've done it 4 times before already. So I expect you guys to know how to display on a grid, and I expect you guys to know how to get input. So this is really the crux of where your problems should be at this stage. So if you have problems with the grid and stuff, I'll probably be doing it later, but it's really important that if you have any questions regarding this class and why I set it up like this, or why I've got a function here, or why I've used private somewhere, or why I've done anything in this class that you don't understand, please ask so that we can actually address that, because very soon you're going to be dealing with maybe more than one class. You're going to learn cool things to do with classes that are really complicated. So if you don't understand how to build a class, you'll be running into issues really quickly, right? So I need to know what you don't understand about classes. If there's nothing that you don't understand, you guys are all just really, really good people and really smart guys and girls and light poles, if that's a thing. Then cool, we'll go on to the grid stuff. Does nobody have a question? Nobody has a question. Not even a little bit. Damn. Either I am the best video explainer. Oh, there we go. So please make sure to explain when you go through the calling methods. That's the thing that gives me the problems. Oh, okay, that's fair. That's a pretty fair problem. I did not think that might be an issue, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right, so let's just put a button down. I'm not gonna rename them because I mean there's only 3, so it really doesn't matter. We'll do 1 for initialize, 1 for calculate, and 1 for display. All right. So let's double click our stuff in. All right, so we got those 3 things. We also need a grid. Display, we'll do a display now. It's a bit bigger than I'm expecting, but we can just do it. There we go. All right, that should cover everything we really need, right? So we've got this. Now, the first thing we need is the number of tests, the number of assignments, and the number of subjects, right? So we need some global variables here. Right, and the first global variable we're gonna have is private n subjects n assignments n practical. Oh wait, we got assignments, so it's n tests. N, there we go. That's nice. 1 line covered all of those. All right, so let's do our n subjects. Int nice. Okay. Please enter subjects. Just make it quick and easy there. Now we can copy and paste this 3 times because we're lazy. Just having in subjects here, we'll just change this to n assignments. Assignments. Right. And here we'll have tests. There we go. Now that we've got that, we can now redim some stuff, right? So if you want to have a function for redimming, I guess you could, or a subroutine. It's more than fine. I'm just going to redim here to save time. Oh yeah, we need an actual array for subjects. That's important. Private. Oh, that's subjects. Subject. Yes, as before, I didn't add the brackets. That's going to be n subjects. And we're going to force through these. 1. Where's the use of the commas you put in input box? Oh, so you know, input box has a title, and then it has a question, and then it has sample text, right? So those 3 things are for the title, the input, and the sample text. So this is the first one is just a question, I think, and then the second one should be the title of the box itself, and the third one should be the actual sample text. Right, we'll try it now. Alright, what are we gonna do in here? Okay, cool. Thank you for understanding, I guess. We're gonna read them some stuff in here. Wait, let's think about this. Do we need to read them? Yes, well, we need a for loop? Yes, we do. But what's cool about this is we're just gonna go subjects. Wait, let's just fix this quickly. In our constructor here, I'm gonna kill that quickly. It's gonna be inconvenient for me. I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna say new subject. And here we're going to put in what? What goes in here? N tests and N assignments. Okay, there we go. Doesn't it kill all of that nasty looking stuff where you had to go subjects dot this and then read them that and then loop inside that? It was pretty nasty if you remember last semester's stuff. Right, so now we've got read stuff. Now we can get input. So we'll assume that our next button will be for getting input. I like this for loop here. What of n tests and n assignments? Yes, it does. It does. So if, for example, here, if it was in assignments first and then a test, and I swapped them around when I passed it through, these sizes would have been swapped around, right? That's why that matters. Hopefully that answers your question. Right, so I like this loop here. What we're gonna do is inside this loop, we're gonna set the stuff for the subject. So it's gonna be subjects. X. Is something wrong? It is not a method. What I was trying to do. Dot. Assessment one. Assessment one is a double, but I'm just gonna copy this for simplicity's sake. I'm gonna just C double it. And in here I'm gonna say is enter assignment for subject. Alright, clearly I can do the same thing for subject 2. For assignment 2. 2. Right, oh yeah, let's do name first. That's important. I'm sorry about that. So instantiating having two classes is a problem. It's the same thing. You just do the same thing twice. Literally, it's just doing this for the one class, and then you do it for the other class. Just remember which one does what. Right? That's it. You have having two constructors in one class. That's just when you're trying to make different things. So that's just depends on the parameter list essentially. That's stuff for next week, so I'm not sure I'm supposed to be teaching you that. So just if you want two constructors in the same class, just make sure that they have different parameter lists. If you want two classes with the same kind of constructor, they should probably be one class, because why would you have two classes that are exactly the same, right? But if they have different constructors, and because they're different classes, then you can just call each constructor. You just say new, and then you just say, let's say we had another one called students, right? You could just call new students, and we'd create a new student, and then you could pass it subject, whatever the case might be, and it could create a new student, right? It's the same principle. I'm hoping that makes it a little bit clearer. All right, so we've got the assessments, we've got the name. What's left? What is left? Subjects. We got name 1, 2, and it's the loop stuff, right? So we're gonna do another for loop here. But this time it's gonna be two different ones. For y as integer equals to 1, 2, and assignments. Let's do assignments first. Next y. Just a double, so we're gonna use this one here. Alright, that should do the trick for that. And then we'll copy this. And we'll call this Z. And it's gonna go the marks Z. That's the mark. Actually, we should specify this is a yeah, it should be for assignment. Actually, this is the test mark. Plus test. There you go. Assignments. Alright, so that needs to be changed to the class tests. Alright, cool. There we go. So now we've got all of the input. Does this kind of answer your question about when you're saying calling the functions, or do you need to see me get the get practical mark kind of thing? Hello, the guy who had the question about the calling of stuff in the form. I'm hoping this helps a little bit. Similar to what we did last week, really. Explain while you doing so. I don't understand what you want me to explain here. All right, so essentially what I'm doing here is I'm setting the assignment mark for this specific subject at X, right? So this is an array of subjects. So let's just call this subject informatics, right? So we gave it the name informatics. We gave it the first test mark. We gave it the second test mark. And essentially now this is a property, right? So this is a property method. It's a type of method. What this refers to, it refers to the internal state. So it's similar to saying subject. It's similar to indexing directly into the actual array that the subject holds. But you can put safety checks in. That's what's cool about properties. That's why we use properties for these, right? Similar to this, right? It's the same as like how you did a record structure where you kind of just went, oh well, this assessment, right? Now, for example, if I want to calculate something, let's say I'm just gonna do message boxes because I'm way too lazy right now to do grid stuff. So what we want to do is we want to display subject ones. He means calling the functions that are in the class. Okay, cool. So not the property methods, you're talking about the real functions like PCM and the semester mark and the get comment, right? So let's go. Let's form a nice little string here. So dim response string as string, right? And what we're gonna say is the first thing is I want to say is on string equals to your practical mark is right. Remember that. Say response string plus equals, and then we're gonna put some. Because we should have a loop here actually. We should have. So I'm gonna make a loop for x. 1 to n subjects. Why I'm doing this is because I'm gonna format a string for every subject, right? So I'm gonna make a new string for each subject, essentially, and a response for each subject. That's whether we passed or failed or what happened, and our practical mark and our semester mark, right? So that's what the plan is for that. So we're gonna start off by now. Notice that the first line doesn't have a plus equals, right? That's really important because that means I am setting it to a brand new string at this point in time. But now the next one is going to be plus equals, and it's going to be subjects x dot get PCM, right? But it's going to be C string. Right, so here's what I've done here, right? So essentially I'm building a string that starts off with the sentence, the phrase, your practical mark is. And I'm getting the first subject, I'm getting its PCM, and I'm saying, well, here's the practical mark. I'm adding it to the string. So it's going to read your practical mark is, say, 64, or whatever the case might be, right? When using the grid, what other title is there besides subjects? You could put the actual names. So instead of saying subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, you could go, well, this is informatics, this is computer science, this is maths. I mean, you guys are going to be software engineers now. That should be easy for you guys. If it's not, I'll probably try and do it next week. I don't think I have enough time. I've got like 10 minutes left. So I just wanted to run the program and show you guys it's working, essentially, before that, and debug any serious issues that we might have in the next few minutes. So I'm just going to get the PCM. I'm going to try and do the semester mark, right? Now remember, when you're doing a string response like this, to do that, you put space there, right? Or you need to say plus environment dot new line, environment dot new line. Right. And here, this is going to be semester mark is it's sem mark, and that's going to work because it's a function. And then we want one for the verdicts. What will be a title for rows and columns? Yes. So essentially, for the rows, you will have informatics, computer science, mathematics, etc., etc., etc. For the columns, you're going to have assignment 1, assignment 2. If you want to have practical 1, or you can just have average practical mark, average class test marks, whatever the case might be. If you want to display those, if not, then you're just going to display PCM, and you're going to display semester mark, and then you're going to display whether the person passed or failed. So at the top, you'll have verdict or stuff. Then you'll have like so essentially these three things that I've got here. So you're gonna have practical mark, semester mark, and verdict as the columns. Does that make sense, Bert? That's cool. Get comments, right? To kind of help you understand a little bit, right? Let's do this. Let's do this. Right? Putting the name there, I can add the name to the grid the same way. You get what I'm saying? I'm hoping so. Right, so we should be able to see everything there in that string. I forgot the environment, but new lines each time. And the last one doesn't need a new line. That's not important. All right, and then after in this, we're going to do a show message. Message box. If we use message box again. I'm so used to different languages. All right, what is environment.new line? That literally puts a new line in wherever you'll see it now. It's going to be message box. Here we're going to have response string, and here we're going to have blank, and oh, here we got title. Oh, this not a lot. Right. Oh, wait, there's no semicolons in the way. Let's run it and see what happens. I'm just going to do one. Please enter none subjects. I'm going to go one subject, 2 assignments, 3 tests. And button 2. Oh, geez. Verdict is denied. Oh, damn. This was in button 1. Your button 1 should have gotten that. Oh, this is in the form load, right? I should have clicked button 1. All right, let's try that again. Let's try that again. Please don't put this in the form load next time. That was a big mistake. It should have been in button 1. 1, 2, 3. Button 1 this time. Name the subject 1. Informatics. These assignments. So this is assignment mark 1. Sorry, that's terribly formatted there. The assignment 1 for informatics 1 will be 99. Right. Enter mark. assignment 1. Oh wait, this is the test. I forgot to change that in the string. All right, so we'll do this on et, and then what happened here? Wait. Cancel. Let's go look at this quickly. Stop. Please enter assignment 1, assignment 2. Please enter marks for assignment. Assignment 1 and assignment 2 are different things. Please enter mark for assignment. This should be assessment. That's my problem. That's why I got confused. Alright, there we go. That was the confusing string problem there. Save and run. Alright, num subjects. We're gonna go with 1. 2 assignments, 3 tests. 1. Right. Please enter the assessment. Let's say we got 80. Assessment 2. This is the practical one. 90. We'll mark for assignment 1. We're gonna go with 90 for everything, so that the PCM should be 90, right? Class test 1. We'll go with 80 for all of these. What happened? Right. So Stack Overflow exception. Right, a Stack Overflow happened here, which means that I don't know what really did happen here. What's that value? Jeez. I don't know. All right, let's try that again and try and figure out what happened there. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Go back to this. Did you see the sample there though in my title, right? That's what those two other things are for, in the input box, right? Enter assessment 1 for things. So there is a 90, 90, 90, 90. And now we're going towards the marks. Right, continue. Marks for classes 1, ET. Should only be 2 class tests, right? Do you remember that? Okay, here's the Stack Overflow. Exception details. How did we get a Stack Overflow here? That's pretty weird. Let's just try something interesting. Somebody did have a question, I think. No, go away. Going over to Blackboard to see should the class test marks be a double? Yes, they should be. They definitely should be. Declared it is due inaccessible. Oh, validation double is a validate these values, right? Sometimes. Let's see what this value actually is when we get it here. Let's try and see what that does. This way we'll know what we're doing wrong. Stack Overflow exception. Am I not redubbing this correctly, maybe? Num test is 3, right? But num in romantics setting 1, 90, 90, 1990. Right, now we're here. Subjects. Let's go in. Interclass test mark. This anyway, 80. 50 and see what happens. I think it's 50. Last test marks is that. Let's go look at what's in here. So assessment 1990 informatics. Last test marks has a length of 4 as expected. Assignment marks has a length of 3 as expected. So what is throwing here? What is going on here? I think my thing is frozen. I have to stop it. Let's try this. Let's see. I think the conversion issue here. Right. The conversion issue. Stop that. Already gone a bit over time, but let's try and fix this quickly. Right. We're getting a Stack Overflow. I honestly have no idea why this is throwing a Stack Overflow. So run the program again, but make the number of assignments and number of class tests the same. 2 and 2. Oh, you think I read them wrong? But I checked the length. So this one's length was 3 and this one's length was 4. So I don't think that's the issue. And plus, then the first one, the very first one. I think I know what the problem is. Let me just check something. 1 second. I think because the constructor you didn't make. What do you mean I didn't make? Only created an object in the form only. What do you mean I didn't make a constructor in the class? I'm confused by what you want me to do there. I redummed in the actual new here, right? So in here, I do redumb that. Do I actually redumb it? Yeah, the constructor is here. I redumb both arrays, so there is space for them. Honestly, I have no idea why I'm getting a Stack Overflow. Yeah, so I do have a constructor there and I do redumb it. Let me just check something here. Yes, you can talk to me.
Okay, so I think so because there you made it like so in your constructor you made it a 2D, you passed it into two like for number of tests and number of assignments, and here you made it like a single a property method. I think that's where the issue is. I don't know, like your constructor.
What do you mean I made it 2D?
Like you passed it through the number of tests and the number of assignments, and then
Yes.
And then in your class you made it like into two different well
Yeah.
yeah, you made it like here, but I see that you did make it in the right way, so I think the issue is there, but I don't know how to like approach it or like say it in that way, but I think the problem is there. I don't know.
Again, the problem is with our redems. Alright, we got n assignments, and then you see, if it was with the redems, remember when I did the breakpoint and this was length 4 and this was length 3, right? I mean, this was length 4 and that one was length 3. That wouldn't have happened if there was if the redems hadn't run. So the redems did run. It's. I'm just getting a weird error here. Let me just check. I think I know what the problem is. Let's just try something silly quickly. One assignment, one test, right? That's the same. Assessment 1 for inf, we're gonna say 90.5 and 90.5, 90.5. And here we go. We hit the breakpoint. Let's jump over. Let's jump into that. 90.5. Okay, before we press equals, just to show you guys that my constructor is not the issue. I'm gonna put a quick thing here where I actually. So in the class tests, right? I'm gonna just. That's not this one. It's name class test. It's this one. Right? It's that one. Here we are, 90.5, okay. Now we're here, right? So over here, if you look, it says length is 2, right? So that means it did redem this array. It did redem this one also, right? So this, you can see that there is space and they're both zeroed. In here, you can see that this one's already got a 90.5 in. So this one read in perfectly, right? Let's go look at this. This one takes in the value as a double. It's basically a copy paste of the one above. Oh my god, you guys did recursion and you didn't tell me what the problem was. You guys did a whole recursion practical and you did not tell me that I forgot this. A little underscore. That's what's destroying my whole thing, bruh. I can't believe that. I really can't believe that. That's scary. Alright. Non-subjects. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Button 1. Informatics. Please enter the assessment 1. We're gonna go 90. Assignment 1. We'll go 50. That was 5. Alright, we're gonna go 5 the whole way through. I'm just gonna go continue because that's a debug point I put in there for the class test. And for class test, we're gonna go 50, right? And we're gonna continue again. See, it didn't throw the error this time. We're gonna go 50, and we are happy people now. And there's one more, and 50 again. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna hit button 2. It's gonna go. I passed informatics. Right. It just gave me the verdict. Why did? Oh, because it only had this. So the new lines is the problem here. Let's delete those quickly. I don't think message boxes allow for new lines. Okay, let's try that again. I'm just gonna go with 1, 1, 1. Button 1. 90. Assignment 1. We got a 50. Kill this debug point, and I'm gonna continue. 50. Right, and then you're gonna press button 2, and it's gonna say your verdict for inf is passed. Why does it only take the last thing? Oh damn! This is, I don't have an equals there. These silly mistakes. Silly mistakes. Yes. Well, the reason why the underscore is so important here is because what is happening was I was actually doing recursion. So I was calling this again, right? I was calling this function, so it was just continually running a loop of this function thousands of times until it causes Stack Overflow. The Stack Overflow is because the underscore is important because it talks about this one here. If I didn't have the underscore, like for example, if I did this, right? When I double click this, right? Oh, that's not what. Let's work here when I do a call. Right, if I do that, right, and double click there, it should highlight this. A class test mocks is not it's not even saying it's allowed anymore. It's because I did this and then I changed the underscores. You remember? So that was the error. So yeah, essentially, just be careful of that next time. Just be really careful of that. On assignments, tests. I can't believe that little error did that to me. 99. Enter marks for assignment 1 for inf, and we're gonna go 50. So 50 class tests, and let's see what happens now. Semester mark for infos is 86. Your verdict for infos is passed. All right, so we're getting some more stuff in the string. Let's go look at our string again. See what we did wrong. You guys are welcome to leave if you got a class to go to. Oh, you see this equals here? We must have a plus also. Yeah, essentially that's how it's done, guys. I hope that helps you guys understand a little bit. I think I'll end the class here. I've gone 15 minutes over time as usual. I'm over time again. But yeah, so essentially you can take this code, you can code it on your own, and you can try and play with it, do a grid with it, and see if you can get perfect responses for your practical for last week. It shouldn't be too hard because I mean you guys are used to working with grids now and whatever. So have fun with that. You can even put this in a rich text box if you want to. But yeah, so have fun with that. That looks like it's going to be fun.